The weirdest thing just happened. I was recording a video and it just went blank. The screen went black and the recording just stopped recording and the recording timer started over. Maybe somebody doesn't want me to share this video, so I'm going to redo it again. This video is based on a conversation that I had with or is inspired by a conversation I had with my sister Cynthia yesterday. Uh, Again, I'm going to just put this disclaimer out there and then I'm going to quit editing and qualifying. I'm going to just put it out there and you do with it what's yours to do. You're not required to believe me. You may very well go, oh, that's just his imagination. And you would be exactly correct. It is my imagination. But then I would suggest you go back to the first set of videos that I did on this channel, and they're available on this channel, and view the video titled Your Imagination, Your Fifth Dimensional Mind. Because you would be exactly correct. My imagination is my fifth dimensional mind. So if you say, oh, he's just imagining that, that's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm viewing reality through my fifth dimensional mind. Now, I wrote a text, I sent Cynthia a text um, last Saturday, and I'm going to read it to you. Okay, this is last Saturday, June 13th. By the way, I mentioned you in today's video. That's twice in the last 4. You and I are Zhrem Kem Fu. We are, in capital letters, Special Forces. In all capital letters, not just the first. All capital letters, Special Forces. And then in caps. It's like we are in the same squad on a SEAL team. And that's exactly who we are. We are members of an elite Special Forces group known as Planetary Transition Team members. We're Zhrem Kem Fu. This is what we do. If you're listening to this video and if you're listening to this video and or have listened to previous videos, I would strongly suggest, as I have before, that you consider the possibility that you're part of my team. You're Zhrem Kem Fu also. Who is Zhrem Kem Fu? The one and only place in all my 30 plus years of being spiritually awake since the harmonic convergence in 1988, which that number has been coming up at least 4 times in the last week. I've heard that number and or the phrase harmonic convergence. So that I consider that synchronistic and significant. But Hilarious, my mentor, my spiritual mentor, Hilarious, who emanates from the 10th dimension in the 12th dimensional model that I speak of. Zhrem Kem Fu. Oh, another thing he told me, and anything Hilarious tells me, I believe it, I take it to the bank. And, that's my prerogative. He also told me I was a member of the Order of the Dragon. I still to this day don't know what that means. That information, that veil, that remembrance hasn't occurred yet. But I trust it will. Otherwise, he'd have never brought it up. I wouldn't have that information in my data banks if I didn't need it. So, as Hilarious always said, you have everything you need before you know you need it. So, he imparted that piece of data specifically to me, so there is a time somewhere where it will be significant, and I'll know it. Okay, anyway, Zhrem Kem Fu is the only place I have ever heard that phrase is from Hilarious. And how him and Polaria, how they described Zhrem Kem Fu are the bravest, most courageous beings in the universe. That we're here in the trenches doing this work. We're here in the 3D to assist planet Earth in her transition from a third and fourth dimensional reality base to a fifth dimensional reality base. There are billions and billions and billions of beings in the universe that volunteered for this position, for these positions. But we sent only the best because this is the hot place to be right now. There are other planets that are uh, either in the process of transitioning or that will soon be. I asked my larger aspects of myself, specifically Raluan. I asked her, what about Nimish and Nephish and Atavar and Aquazar? Higher aspects of Georgian and I, of ourselves, our multidimensional selves. I asked, what were those two teams doing? And Raluan told me they're doing the same thing you guys are doing on different planets. And that's data that I know I trust. Zhrem Kem Fu are special forces. We're here in the trenches. One of the things that happened yesterday, which makes it such a phenomenal, it made it such a phenomenal conversation, is at one point Cynthia was talking to me and she was speaking from her third dimensional self. She was speaking from the little me. And in the third dimension, her undercover identity in the third dimension is really, really hard. She's masquerading as a 61 year as she's masquerading as a 61-year-old homeless black woman in Seattle. She's been doing this masquerade for the last 10 years. She is also a targeted individual. If you don't know what that means, do some research and it will literally blow your mind. I am the only person in her reality base that believes her because I know it to be true. I know it to be true. There is a really thing called targeted individuals. Do the research and it will blow your mind. Cynthia is one of them. That's one of the masquerades. And I use the phrase masquerade because back in the day, in the early '90s, when Georgianne and I were manning our star base, and we were a mobile unit out of our star base, i.e., driving truck, we would always identify ourselves in our newsletters as masquerading as long haul truck drivers. We weren't identifying as long haul truck drivers. We were identifying as Zhrem Kem Fu, PTM, light workers, masquerading as long haul truck drivers. Right now, part of my cover, and this whole persona of Michael Green, this whole persona is my cover identity. Whoever you are and whatever you're doing, consider the possibility that you're infinitely more than that, and this is just your cover identity down here in the trenches in the 3D. Yesterday or Saturday, that was yesterday, when at one point in the conversation, she was speaking from the small her. She was speaking from the little third dimensional self. And she was, you know, literally complaining about how hard it was. And that, if she's being written out of the script, that's fine. That's fine with her. But as she was saying that, simultaneously as she was saying that, I heard a voice in my head that was not me, the little me, was not the big me, and I know who that is. And I immediately recognized that that voice that was speaking to me was the big Cynthia, the big her. Her, quote, larger self was speaking to me telepathically while she was speaking to me audibly on the phone. And what she was telling me Her larger aspect was saying, but consider the possibility that that may not be true. Basically contradicting what the little her was saying. And then shortly after it was done, I told her about it, but I literally could not remember what it was. Like I had it, and then when I was starting to explain to her the logistics and the dynamics of what the transaction was between the simultaneous hearing her and hearing her, I heard her and I heard her. You see my hands? I heard her and I heard her simultaneously. One with my ear, one with my mind, I guess. But anyway, when I was telling her that and setting it all up, whoosh, I forgot. I couldn't remember for the life of me. I couldn't remember what it was she said to me. And I was telling her that. I can't remember. It's like a dream, you wake up and in the morning it's just, you remember it and it's vivid and it's clear and you got it. And then as soon as you wake up, like a wisp of vapor, like smoke in the wind. It just kind of fades away. That's what happened to that data that she told me. And I even told her, well, I'm going to make an intent. Right now, I'm going to make a conscious intent to at some point remember what it was you said to me, the big you said to me. And then I'll eventually share that with you. Well, about 3 minutes into the conversation, she started chuckling and she goes, I remember exactly what I was talking about. And then she said, I remember exactly what I was talking about. And so she repeated what the little her said. And then she really started laughing and goes, but you know what? As I was saying that, there was another part of me that totally contradicted what I said. And I go, and then she told me what the contradiction, the larger her that she heard say and contradict. And it was exactly what she had told me. She remembered what she said, the little her said, and the big her, she remembered what the big her said. And what the big her said was exactly what she told me. I go, that's it. That's exactly what you said. And it totally contradicted. And I had a similar experience early part of this week. With like around Monday or Tuesday, I was like really going through the small me was really going through the issue of my eyesight and like this blurriness is like you guys heard me tell you that I need your help just even telling me what you see on the screen because it's really blurry to me. Okay. That's why I'm fumbling around with the lighting, but hopefully the cataract surgery will correct that. But anyway, I was going through the poor me thing. The little me was going through the poor me thing, and then the big me said, consider this, and pointed out a whole different perspective to what's going on with my eyesight. And I have never, ever, ever, ever yet had any, other than the statement that I got 3 years ago, the statement that I got in meditation out in the garden 3 years ago, that your eyesight's being recalibrated. Other than that, I've heard nothing about, what's going on with my eye, except that I've shared that she can, Kim, the eternal feminine me that I'm aware of, she can affect this eye, and she knows, all of me knows that conscious, I'm consciously aware of what she can do with this eye. She can do stuff with this eye, sensations to this eye that I don't control. I can't initiate it and I can't stop it, but she does that, and she shared with me that that's her way of expressing her reality in the wholeness of me, that she's here in the body with me. So anyway, uh, it hit me, Cynthia. Can you imagine how high that we have raised our frequency to the point that I can accurately hear your larger you telepathically communicate with me. And or see, here's the thing. I don't think that it was It was and it wasn't. There's the paradox. Life is exquisite in the paradox because it was the little me that controlled. Well, not necessarily. All of a sudden now it's just another revelation, another veil. The big her was communicating telepathically to an aspect of me larger than the me talking to you. But then again, which part of me is talking to you? The little me or the big me? It's like once you get to this level of, and without thinking I'm so big, okay, you guys please understand. But the truth is, I really am so big. And I would say you guys consider the possibility, so are you. This is not about ego and that I'm better. My truth says, you guys are part of my team. Everything that's true about me is true about you guys. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be here. There's a handful of you that are listening to these videos. I watch the analytics. I watch after every video. The next day, I go and I check the analytics. There is a group of you, and you know who you are, that are watching every one of these videos. You guys, I would say, consider the possibility that you are part of our team. At one point, Cynthia was in the beginning of the conversation. The little her was talking about all the trials and tribulations she's been having in the physical, down here in the muck and the trenches of the 3D. As Zhrem Kem Fu. But she wasn't saying it as Zhrem Kem Fu. She was speaking from the small her, and she was thinking it's time for her to quote die. And she was totally out of resources, absolutely nothing, no money, no nothing. And then she literally said, and I pointed out to her later, this is a quote: I had nothing, no money, no nothing, and all of magically I got some money. Well, consider the possibility, and that's what I shared with her. Magically, that's the way you said it. So when you say magically, you meant it was completely out of your control. It was not of your doing. Well, then consider the possibility that was the supply teams behind you that work behind the scenes that supports the work that you do here. And that goes for all of us. And then that's kind of like what the same thing that the big me shared with the little me who was whining about my eyesight. And this is basically what big me pointed out. And just didn't say this is the way that it is, but just shared this perspective and allowed me through free will to consider the possibility. And I looked at it and I went, from a certain perspective, that makes absolute sense. Because here was the deal. When I retired 3.5 years ago, January of 2017, when I retired from my career as a long haul truck driver, my quote masquerade, or my masquerade quote career, I'll reverse that to be most truthful. I was an independent driver, meaning I was the company. I owned my company. I ran under my own authority. It was a one man, one trailer, one truck, one trailer operation. I didn't have a fleet of trucks, but I did have one truck, one trailer. Yasko, the Japanese woman that I lived with, who was my business partner. We ran the company for 5 years. She was the dispatcher and administrative. My oldest daughter, for a period of time, Amber, she did all the administrative work. Yasko did all the load procurement and dispatching to me. I ran the truck, and I loaded and unloaded the truck, ran the truck, and I did as much maintenance on it personally as I could because I know my limitations as a mechanic, but I do know how to turn a wrench. Been working on cars with my dad since I was 10 years old, so I do know how. I know my way around the toolbox. I know my way around the engine compartment, whether it be diesel or gasoline. It's one of my skill sets. So that allowed me to be, an owner operator because you got to know how to work on your own equipment because you can't afford to go pay everybody for every little screw that's got to be turned. So anyway, but the deal was with the economy, I was operating on a shoestring and mostly in the red. I didn't have any retirement. Uh, I was 64 years old or 63 and a half years old at the time that I retired. I didn't have any retirement, no savings. If my eyesight hadn't been the reason why I had to retire, because I couldn't see well enough to back up a trailer without hitting it, I'd still be driving. I just know that I'd still be ripping around up and down the highway to pay my bills, you know. But that wasn't my next. I wasn't. It was time for me to move on. So now I'm completely disabled by law. I'm completely disabled. I literally can't see well enough to expect somebody to pay me to do a job because I can't see what they want me to do. So I can't hold down a job. I don't drive. Uh, so it's like, but I'm still being cared for because I'm on lifetime disability. And with my meager needs, it's plenty. I don't need to be rich. I'm not here to be rich. I'm comfortable, physically comfortable. All my physical needs are met. I don't go hungry. I cook my dinner every night. I eat. You know, I'm being taken care of through the disability. My physical needs are being taken care of through the disability of my eyesight. And that was the alternative perspective that the big me pointed out to little me that was doing the whining about my eyesight. And it's like, oh, hmm. And from a certain perspective, it made all kinds of sense. Because this is just a vehicle. This is not the totality of me. And it's like, even if we weren't in this ascension process, it wasn't expected to last forever. But because we are now in this ascension process, and this time around, we are going to take our bodies with us. Our bodies from the atomic level, our bodies are mutating. They're transmuting from a carbon-based physical third dimensional body to silicon crystalline light body. That's what we're doing. We are all mutating. And as we raise in frequency, that's what happens to us. What happens to us is also happening to the planet. Conversely, what happens to the planet happens to everybody else because we are of the planet. So I don't want to make this overly long, so I'm going to leave it here. It's right around 23 seconds. This is not fake, folks. Like I said in a couple videos ago, it was titled, "You are bigger than you think you are." And you guys, but you know what? Only two people looked. That video only got 2 views. And I'm gonna just say this straight up. I can, and I'm perceptive now. I've been doing this long enough. Okay, I've been in the New Age spiritual community, awareness, yada yada yada. I've been doing this shit long enough. Okay, so it's like I can see just by the views of the different subjects of my videos, how many views obviously tells me how much interest there is. Because you look at the title before you hit the click button to play the video. You look at the title, okay? So the likes, or not the likes, but the views of the videos, the count of the views gives me an idea of the interest in that particular subject. Some subjects that I think are the most dynamic, no, don't nobody want to hear about it. The views are one or two small. And there's other ones that like, oh, just massive amount of views. It's not massive considering there's only 17 subscribers, but everything being relative, there's certain subjects you guys are a lot more interested in than others. And I'm gonna just say it. Some of the stuff that you're interested in is like, oh, that's not the interesting stuff. Like there's one video, I think got maybe 1 or 2 views. And to me it was one of the most intriguing videos that I've ever recorded. I think it's the one titled "The Voices in My Head." I would suggest you guys go back and look at that if you haven't. The Voices in My Head. Because we are multidimensional. You have to view yourself bigger than you think you are. You are infinitely bigger, larger than you think you are. And you got to put away and stop being the small us, the small you. Start embracing just through your imagination, your fifth dimensional mind. Be the bigger you. And as we do that, like Cynthia and I were sharing yesterday, we were realizing all of the stuff that we as Zhrem Kem Fu are doing on the planet. As we do this, it just spreads exponentially. And what we do for ourselves and other humans, we're simultaneously doing for the planet. This is a total thing. It's a worldwide thing. All encompassing. Whether you can see it or not, it's all encompassing. Everything's connected. I watched a couple of videos this morning and they just clicked. I could see it. I could see it because I see everything from the 40,000 foot view. I observe everything from the big story, and I can see all the connections. This whole thing is just so happening, and it will knock your socks off. If you want to get something to knock your socks off right now, do some research into the new King of England. Ah, that one will rattle your cage. There's a video that I wasn't going to share it, but now I am. One of the videos I watched this morning was uh, was posted by, and I mentioned her before. I suggest you guys follow her before. Eldora, was it Eldora? No, Eldora Rose. Eldora Rose Ascension something is the name of her channel, and she's right on the money. Well, she posted a video today, and all she did was posted a recording of a video. It wasn't her video. She just posted, and it was a continuation, a longer video of a subject that I had heard about and watched a video on several weeks ago, and it was extremely intriguing. But that video was less than 10 minutes long. This one today was almost a half hour, just shy of a half hour, and it was about the same person, the same subject. And you really ought to go check it out. It will give you food for thought. I'm not saying that's the quote way that it is, but I find it highly intriguing, and there was a serious resonance inside of me. For me, and I'm only speaking for me, I call it real because it just, in so many ways, so many dots were connected, by that whole little thing. It fit in its place. That piece of the puzzle, that piece of the tapestry fit in its place perfectly. And I go, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're all good. That's what I was saying, just grinning. We're all good. So anyway, yeah, this is way longer than I thought or anticipated. But anyway, share this video, please, if it's yours to do. If you know of anybody of like mind that would be interested, please share this video and like this channel to grow, simply so that we can get the message can be farther. It's disseminated. There might be more of us, Zhrem Kem Fu teammates, that are searching for us, and we can they can find us. Okay, so anyway, uh, share the video if you would, like it so that the algorithms can get it more uh, disseminated out and recommended on the YouTube feeds, and then also blessings on your journey. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.